What's up? This is Brad with Spite Fitness, and the time has come. I believe, honestly, truly, that this will be my last session at the gym here. Really, my last session in Korea. I know I said that once before, but my buddy dragged me in on Thursday, and well, I might as well finish the week now. So I got a little bench session I got to do, and I figured do a little bit of running as well, and yeah, just kind of chase the pump today, I think. Starting to feel like I actually have the chance to leave. You know, although Korea is a very nice place, being here for the year has been somewhat of a nightmare for me. There have been some good times, but mostly just kind of mediocre and lots of bad times. So I am very excited to be able to get up out of here. That's not a condemnation of you know, South Korea or the people or anything like that. It's just a statement of how much I love being home. So, so yeah, I hope nobody takes offense to that, but it's the reality of my situation. So you're gonna go over and get after it. I think we're just gonna be dealing with some light stuff today, and just get a little bit of a pump, kind of check the block kind of a day. I really probably won't get into back into any real serious training and lifting hard until probably March time frame, to be honest. So it's going to be a bit. So I think I'm just going to be a lot of putzing around and just little things here and there, trying to generally stay with it, but not really focused on anything, you know, too specific. So we're gonna head over to the gym after I finish packing my shit, and we'll get after it. See you there. Well, quick update. So I thought I was gonna go to the gym and get some training in, but Zeckler Gym, the one that is by me, it's on 24-hour access, so it's not staffed during the weekends. So there's like a badge access, or you know, you get to scan your card to be able to get in. And I went over there, and the scanner's not working, so I couldn't get in. So I didn't train. But then luckily I talked with my friend Kat, who I think that was just texting me right now, and she wanted to get together to do some training and help her with her deadlift. So I waited a day. It's now Sunday, and we're gonna go together and go train, and I'm gonna help her with her deadlift. So it, you know, be a good session because I actually have somebody to lift with, and hopefully I'll be able to help her out. So we're gonna go downstairs and meet her and head over to the gym, and it should be pretty good. So, you know, something bad turned into something pretty cool. So here we go. Okay, at the gym, I'm with my friend. This is Kat.
Hey guys.
So, very well accomplished lifter, kind of in your own right?
I mean, perhaps.
CrossFit trainer and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So familiar enough with what she's doing, and got a pretty good pull. What's your max?
Max 425. 425? Yeah, right now probably 395, but okay. Yeah, 425.
Okay.
All time.
So she just asked me to help her out a little bit with the deadlift. So we're gonna work with her and just kind of see what we can do. Do you have an idea about what you want to do today? Are you thinking like going heavy and trying to test the waters a little bit, or are we just working on form and staying low and just working?
I think probably like a moderate, probably not above like 353, 65 or
okay.
So, just to work the form.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll dip our toe kind of into the deeper end of the pool, but not diving all the way, I think, right? So yeah, so we're gonna get set up and get kind of moving, and then once we're ready to rock, we'll kind of catch what we're doing here. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so we got 275 on the bar, and all right, so we're about 70% of our max right now. It took me a long time to do that. Sorry. Give me one more. Okay. All right, cool. So I do see a couple things that we can kind of work on. So we're gonna talk over those right about meow. Okay, so one thing for sure that I see, and I think maybe you guys will have seen too. You come a little bit closer, just to be able to hear me because I'm just talking at the moment. So one thing that I think that you guys will see as I move around to the front is that collapse in the knee. So as she begins to drive, right? Those knees are collapsing in. And so anytime that you have that knee collapse, it's just kind of a bad position to push from. Like it's not optimal. And so my recommendation is going to be to narrow her stance a little bit. So we'll work with narrowing the stance to see where it's comfortable, but also where we begin to stop that knee collapse. So that's kind of first and foremost. Other thing that I think is going to be imperative for overall improvement is stopping the touch and go. So when she was kind of bouncing, it puts you in a bad position. So like that bounce can take you out of the groove, and anytime you're coming out of the groove, right, like you're losing power. So with every movement, whether it's deadlift or bench or squat, you want to optimize the movement and kind of stay in the groove. So those are 2 quick tips that we're going to work on, and then we'll see what else we see. Takes a second to roll. Okay, so I just want to demonstrate what I'm talking about, the kind of narrowing the stance. So where she was a little bit wider, and the hands were right there. So almost her arms are kind of getting in the way of the knees. So what I'd like to see is have her legs right underneath her hips, right? So directly underneath the hips. So that way, as she drives, those knees hopefully won't collapse. Right, straight up. And there's no sideways or lateral movement with the knee. It's just, being able to extend the leg. All right, so we've reset, have the feet a little bit more narrow. We'll see what happens with those knees. Right, see? There we go, start a little bit lower there. Good. So none of that knee collapse that was before, and I'll see if I can frame in from the last shot, that knee collapse and the difference here. That's good. All right. So being able to drive with the kind of straight knees, or not having your knees not laterally collapsing, or that valgus collapse, I think is very important for me to be able to develop power. I'm gonna have her do another set and observe her and just see what I see from the side, and then we'll see if there's any breakdowns or anything like that. Are you good to do another set? Sure. Okay.
How many? 5?
Give me 5 if you can. Okay, this is going to be kind of a small thing. That actually looks pretty good, and I don't know if we're in a position where we're going to see breakdown yet. So we may have to bump up again into the 275. But one critical thing that I see is the breathing piece, and making sure, like I saw you taking the breath, but the simple breath isn't sufficient. You'll want to see like a full big brace. Okay. So I actually should see, if you hold the camera and come over to the side with me. So as you were coming down, I saw the breath. I saw the breath happen, right? But what I didn't see is this very purposeful abdominal brace. So when I perform mine, what I'll do is I'll go up over top of the bar to kind of open up my chest cavity a bit, because if I'm back, because once I breathe, I get myself tight into position, like wound up like a spring, and then ready to explode, and I can't breathe from that position. So what I'll do is I'll catch my breath, open myself up, and then I get myself tight into position and then explode. You'll see a very purposeful abdominal brace. So you see the brace kind of happen as I roll back?
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I want to see, because for you, as we ascend in weight, having that good purposeful brace is going to help you maintain abdominal rigidity, so that you're not going to have that collapse and rolling forward. So we want to make sure that we pressurize the core sufficiently, and then explode into the weight.
Okay.
Okay, so for this set, we put back on 275. We talked about narrowing the stance, and we talked about that very purposeful brace. So for this set, if you can give me maybe 3, I want you to think purposeful brace. Okay. And then get yourself pulled back in a position, right, so that you're tight behind the bar. You want that whole body to be tight and applying pressure to the bar before you initiate the lift, right? So you're pre-tensioning that bar. Okay. And you're actually going to use the weight of the bar to enable you to get yourself into a tighter position, right? And then you explode. So it's almost like using the bar to help wedge yourself into position. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so I'm saying it. We'll see if you do it, and then I can try to maybe help explain it if it's not clear. Sure. But you use that bar to help yourself get tight and down. There you go. Big breath. Good. Very good. Let's reset and do it again. Good. Very good. One more. Very good. Okay. That actually looked pretty great. How did it feel? I know that you're tired from yesterday, but does that feel different than before?
Yeah, yeah, this felt a lot lighter actually than with the old form, which I think I'm kind of surprised about, because usually in my practice before this, I fatigued a lot more quickly with a new stance.
Yeah.
I did feel a little bit slower, probably just because I was stopping to breathe and be intentional about it.
Yeah.
But I still felt my knees cave in. I know you were kind of from the sides.
Yeah.
So close together, like I could almost even feel them touch.
Okay. So there's, so for that, there actually is some stuff that we can do to kind of work with that. If we could find some bands, or maybe we could go downstairs and get a thin band, we can work with wrapping a band around the knees to be able to kind of cue you to drive the legs out a little bit so that they're not collapsing in. Because I have found that when those knees collapse in, a lot of times it's kind of a glute issue, right? So you want to make sure that you're activating the glutes, squeezing those glutes. And like if I squeeze my glutes, you can almost see my knees. Yeah. Like you can see my knees kind of turning out as I squeeze my glutes. Yeah. So if we put a band, I'm sorry, this might film here. Yeah, this would be a lot easier if we did this. So if those knees are collapsing in, so tilt down a little bit. There you go. So those knees are collapsing in. If we put a band here, it's gonna be forcing you kind of out, and then if you can actually kind of feel it as you turn your legs out like this, you can feel those glutes, right? So it's part getting the glutes to activate and turn on, or be more active in the process. It's not to say that they're not active, they probably are, but you want to make sure that you get that activation, because I can, as I squeeze my glutes, my knees are turning out. So we can work with band and try that as well. So, but yeah, so kind of back to the point, between the breathing and the changing of the stance, where we're trying to maximize the mechanics and give her the best kind of physical platform possible from which to be able to apply force to the bar. So that's exactly what we're trying to do right here. I'm gonna walk downstairs and see if I can find a band. All right, so I went downstairs and got a band, and so I just found one of the thin ones, right? The different companies that make bands, they'll make them in different colors. So it used to be, you could just say the color and it was, you know what band people were talking about. These used to be like the mini greens. But anyway, you take the band, and in some instances we can, just figure eight it and double it up, right? We don't need a lot of tension, so this might be, maybe it's too much or maybe whatever. So if this is too much tension for you and you don't like the way that this feels, the other thing that you can do is you can just take the band and you can tie a knot in it somewhere. And then, you're basically restricting how much band you have. So maybe now you have just this here, right? And then you put your legs in between there, and then you use that for resistance. So I think to start with, we're gonna limit it just like this for Kat, and then we're gonna see how that feels, because like I said, we don't wanna be overbearing with the tension for her, because we're not trying to add in, an additional exercise, but really what we're trying to do is just cue her. So we'll probably leave it about like this, and then we'll just test it, and if we need to tighten it up, we will. We got the band for the knees just as a kind of a physical cue, and we're working on that breathing and bracing too. There you go. Get yourself, there you go. Good. Good. Force out the knees. There you go. Good. Cool. Good. How'd that feel?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
I think I was starting to do something kind of weird, like with my shoulders on the pull, like pulling maybe separately with my arms in the second half, which was kind of weird.
All right.
Overall, great.
So for the thing with the arms, right? So you want to make sure that the arms are extended, and you almost want to even flex your triceps to make sure that that arm stays totally straight, totally extended. Because anytime you start flexing the arm, you're putting additional tension on the bicep, and you run risk of a bicep rupture. So you want to make sure that you make sure the arms are completely straight. But yeah, sometimes with that, the mixed grip, the over-under, some people do find a difference in the tension in their back, and they feel it, you know, like they'll almost start helicoptering and start spinning. So that can happen from time to time as well. But we'll keep an eye on it and just see kind of how you're doing, and we'll go from there. I think maybe 315. You want to try that?
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Focusing and driving against the knees. There you go. Good. Good. Very good. Good.
Yeah.
A
little degraded there.
little out of position on that, especially on that second one.
Yeah.
Because you began to initiate like this.
Yeah.
And so what we had from the side was like the beginning of the kind of kitty cat.
Yeah.
So for that, it's more, instead of as you set, right, and you start driving, you're driving with legs and doing one of these deals. So what you want to do is get yourself in position, big breath, set, bring yourself down, and bring that chest up. And so start with more of a chest up position, right? So that hopefully you prevent yourself from rolling, because that chest is staying up, and your abdominal bracing in order to stay up. So from the side, it would look like for you, if you're watching me, so like this, big breath. See how my chest is rolling up?
Yeah.
So keep that chest up position.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll give you a couple minutes.
Yeah.
We'll let you rest, and we'll try it again. So we've given her a couple minutes to kind of rest and reset. We're going to forego the band on the knees, and then we're focusing on kind of getting her chest up, so that hopefully we kind of limit that thoracic rounding. Big breath, brace hard, drive. Atta girl, much better. Much better, good. Did that feel different?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right from the beginning, you were in a much better, I'm sorry, I'm not getting on film. Right from the beginning, you were in a much better position mechanically. So you didn't have that thoracic rounding. You had that chest up and back, and were able to maintain that tightness through that abdominal bracing, so that you're not going to cave, and then be able to drive and apply pressure to the bar.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Great.
that looked a lot smoother, a lot easier than the last set.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I can hear that.
Cool. All right, so we popped up. We're at 345. Remember what we talked about. Grip the bar hard, squeeze hard. Big breath, brace, get yourself in position. There you go. There you go. Good. Drive, squeeze the hips. Good.
Oh man, that was heavy.
Well, 345. I mean, especially for being tired, that's not bad. I can see what starts to happen for you is you start to kind of fizzle out up top.
Okay.
All right. So what ends up happening is at right about the knee level, you want to start squeezing the glutes.
Okay.
So push the hips forward, because if you squeeze your glutes right now, just standing there, squeeze your glutes.
Yeah.
What happens? Pelvis goes forward.
Yeah.
Right. And so to finish the deadlift, you would need to push the pelvis forward.
So you initiate that here at the top?
Yeah, so you would initiate it basically right at the knee level. Okay. So as you pull, glutes, you start squeezing and drive those glutes forward. Okay. And that'll help you, as long as you have the rigidity in your upper back, squeezing those glutes will just push you forward. Okay. So prescriptively, what may help you is some glute work. So already, we had the issue with the knees, and I think that just a little bit of cueing and activating to get you to work on the glutes, to keep the legs from collapsing in, is one thing. And then just working glutes. So you can do stuff like like kettlebell swings, right? So then at the top, make sure you squeeze the glutes and drive the hips forward. So kettlebell swings would be good for you. Again, making sure that we squeeze and work the glutes. And then I'm gonna come over for a better angle for you guys. Will you hold?
Absolutely.
And then also you can work with bands. You work bands, or you can work cables, right? And so this is a bad setup, but I'm just gonna do it for brevity, right? So you have a band, right, secured somewhere, and then basically get some tension and squeeze the glutes and drive the hips forward, right? Squeeze the glutes and drive the hips forward. So that's another glute exercise that you can implement. And then you can also do, you know, the bridges or the hip thrusters, where you have a weight, whether it's a plate or a loaded bar, you know, kind of on the pelvis. You're braced on a bench. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah. Braced on a bench, and you're basically like bridging and driving the hips up and forward. Yep. And that'd be a really good, you know, glute activation exercise for you. So for you specifically, Kat, you should be working on a little bit more glute development, so that you get a better activation and you stop fizzling kind of toward the top, because a lot of that is not necessarily just lower back strength. It's glute strength to be able to drive those hips forward and get your body erect. Okay, cool. I don't know, you have to show me what the difference is. All right, so what I'm gonna have Kat do is we're gonna have her try one more of the 345, but I want her working with just a light kettlebell, just to kind of activate glutes and get her used to kind of squeezing and using her glutes. And hopefully, if we do it light, we're not gonna exhaust her, and we'll get her primed to squeeze the glutes and drive the hips forward, so she finishes the movement easier. So, this is a Russian kettlebell. Okay, that's a Russian. What's American? All the way. Yeah, you don't need to go all the way. Okay. Yeah, so Russian, but at the top of that, make sure you're squeezing those glutes and drive those hips forward. There you go. Just give me like 10, 15, something like that. And what we're working on is just squeezing the glutes so that you're used to driving those hips forward. There you go. I'm not counting, so I'm relying on you. Okay. All right, cool. So all I'm doing there is just a light priming movement, which I hope from getting her to squeezing the glutes every rep will carry over into the deadlift when we try that here in a minute. We're gonna film this one from the side. This is 345. Big breath, brace hard. There you go. Drive, squeeze glutes, squeeze glutes, squeeze. Yes, much better. Way better finish. Did you feel it? Yeah. I mean, I knew I wasn't squeezing it. That's awesome. So way better finish. I think I'm gonna try to side by side the two 345s. Although one is from the front, I think that you can see from the knee up, she finishes the movement way faster. Way awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So that's really what we hope to accomplish today in terms of working with you on deadlift. I know that we're going to move off and do some other stuff now, but I want to kind of close down this portion of the video. You know, so just to kind of recap for you guys, you know, we looked at the knee collapse, we looked at the breathing and the bracing, and then we looked at glute drive specifically for her. And I think visibly we were able to see a marked difference in her performance in the movement in just one session. So I'm gonna kind of let her speak about what she thinks and, you know, all that, and just kind of, you know, let her give you guys her thoughts.
So this form is pretty drastically different than what I've been working for the last several years. So I think it's expected that there would be a little bit of degradation in the amount of weight that I was able to lift like this. But honestly, it felt like there was less strain on my whole body really for every pull, which bodes well for improving the weight. And, you know, hopefully if I keep training like this with these specific new cues, I'll be back and hopefully will surpass my old max, which was at that rate when I was pulling 425, no doubt, rounded back, degraded form. Like it was never a pretty lift. So hopefully these differences are gonna get me a little bit heavier.
Now, so just to kind of tie it into the whole military aspect, right? You're active duty as well, correct?
Yes.
And so we also have that ACFT kind of looming over our heads. Like, do you feel that the kind of the tips and the cues that I've given you, you know, may help you in the performance for ACFT?
Yeah, definitely. And I, of course, like every other soldier on the planet, have been practicing the deadlift on a hex bar, and it's way different. I mean, man, if I was pulling on a straight bar, I would have no concerns about maxing the deadlift event. But the hex bar is so different. So hopefully, you know, with a narrower stance and with maybe a little bit more focus on the breath and like tightening yourself down before beginning, Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the deadlift as I am the 2 mile after all that stuff.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, well, I'm gonna kind of close it down from here. I want to thank Kat for her giving me the opportunity to try to help. You know, so that's the thing that I always want to emphasize for any of you that are out there is I may or may not be able to help, but I'm always willing to try. And just the opportunity to be able to try to make a difference for you and your lifting and like kind of what it means, you know, what you do, your performance means a lot to me personally. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
But that's it, guys. I'm gonna close it down. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just leave them in the chat box below. I'll be sure to respond. I appreciate you guys continuing to support the channel with the likes, the shares, and subscribes. So if you haven't subbed up, I definitely appreciate it if you join the family. Anyway, that's it. If you haven't checked out the Train to Spike gear, I'll be the first link in the description box below. You know, check it out. If you like what we have, pick up a shirt. I designed a new design called Sink and Squats. Check that one out. It's pretty cool. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, no matter what it is you think you can't do, get in, train to spite. You're either going to find an excuse, you're going to find a way, and I hope that you continue to find the way. See ya.